national championship. For the first time in 2 decades, college basketball has a repeat champion.
Starts right there with number.
Everybody knows the name Zion Williamson.
Okay. Are you serious?
R.J. Barrett. And who could forget about Cam Reddish? But what inspires these players to end up at Duke? The answer is they know they're going to win basketball games and receive the publicity they need to make it to the next level.
Cam Reddish. Krzyzewski. Well, you got the veteran and the young rookie in the coaching ranks.
Coach K was an all-state basketball player from Chicago and was heavily recruited by Bobby Knight. He felt pressured by his parents to pick West Point over Creighton because of the values the school held. After a successful career at West Point, he became the head coach. He coached there for 5 years, taking the team to the NIT tournament once before receiving the opportunity to become Duke's head basketball coach. Coach K's first season at Duke, the team went 17-13, 6-8 in the ACC, which tied for 5th, and made it to the NIT quarterfinal. It wasn't a historic year, but it proved that Coach K could handle this level of basketball. During the 81 and 82 season, the Blue Devils went 10-17, 4-10 in their conference, finishing tied for 6th in the ACC. The biggest accomplishment for the team that year is when Gene Banks hit this shot. This shot sent the game to overtime, which the Blue Devils ended up winning, giving Coach K his first career win against rival UNC. Although this was the worst season Duke has seen in years, there was one freshman player that stood out from the rest, and that was Johnny Dawkins, who averaged 18.1 points per game as a freshman, which led the team. At the time, Mark Olery and David Henderson were also freshmen, who would have key roles in Duke's success later. The 82 and 83 season was just as bad as the year before, and it was clear that Duke needed to make some serious changes. Chuck Swenson was introduced to the team before the 83 and 84 season as an assistant coach and a recruiting coordinator. Besides the numbers that prove that he turned around Duke basketball when he arrived, there's not a lot about the guy online. I actually had to go to his Twitter just to find a picture of him. During the 83 and 84 season, the Blue Devils went 24-10, 7-7, and tied for 3rd in their conference, taking Coach K to his first NCAA tournament. Every minute of the game was a nail-biter, but Johnny Dawkins just didn't have it that game. He couldn't score. The Blue Devils ended up losing 80-78 in the round of 32 of the 86 NCAA tournament. The 84 and 85 season was similar to the year before, as the team went 23-8, 8-6 in the ACC, tying for 4th, and bringing them back to the round of 32. For the second year in a row, the Blue Devils were in a nail-biter for their round of 32 game against BC. The game was back and forth, but the Eagles had more hustle plays than the Blue Devils. The Boston College Eagles ended up defeating Duke in the round of 32 that season, 74-73.
Anderson breaks the ball off for the Blue Devils. Berry from three-point range hits from out there.
Before the start to the 85 and 86 season, Coach K and Chuck Swenson landed a huge commitment from Danny Ferry, the 6'10 forward, who would later his senior year score 58 points in one game.
Hocker brings it up against Snyder. And intercepted by Ferry. Hocker drives to take it away, and Ferry slams.
Danny Ferry would play an important role to the Blue Devils, and Coach K knew that. That's why Chuck Swenson recruited him so hard. The Devils had all the factors they needed to have a successful 85 and 86 season, including senior Johnny Dawkins, who led the team in every stat. The team ended up having a historic season, going 37-3, 12-2 in the conference, giving Coach K his first ACC championship, and they cruised their way through the NCAA tournament, making it all the way to the championship. The Blue Devils played Mississippi Valley State first and defeated them 85-78. In the round of 32, Duke crushed Old Dominion 89-61. During the Sweet 16, Duke beat DePaul 74-67. Once Duke got to the Elite Eight, they had to play Navy. Duke started to pull away in the second half. It slowly got to the point where Duke always had an answer for Navy. Duke won the game 71-50. Duke lined up with Kansas to play in the Final Four. The Blue Devils ended up winning the game 71-67, bringing Coach K to his first national championship.
There's something new any day. I will know right away, soon as it shows. It may come cannonballing down through the sky, gleaming its eye bright as a rose.
The game came down to the final seconds when Danny Ferry hit this shot to put the Blue Devils down by 1. The Cardinals were fouled during the inbound play to put them on the line, and they hit both free throws to ice the game. Duke lost the championship game 72-69. Chuck Swenson left after the season to fulfill his longtime dream of becoming a head coach when he was offered it by William and Mary. He coached there for a few seasons, but never having the success he did at Duke. Now he lives in Michigan with his wife. It's no question that these players come to this pristine school because of the history. Coach K has truly turned Duke into a basketball factory. Duke will continue to be successful as long as Coach K stays along for the ride.